for the recording. I just started the recording after my initial minute of introduction. My name is Michel Pauw. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm working in Papua New Guinea as a Bible translator for Wycliffe and as the academic dean of the Pacific Institute of Languages, Arts and Translation. And besides that, I'm an affiliate of Faith Life, and I just told that all revenue through this partnership with Faith Life is to support our ministry in Papua New Guinea. So today we have a wide variety of Logos users, people that do not have Logos yet, to a few advanced and even power users of the software, and everything in between. So this means a give and take for everybody, as I try to demonstrate beginners levels features, as well as some pretty cool advanced features. I will try to keep the content of the webinar within an hour, but I will be available after that for a Q&A. I will have to look sideways to see if there are people in the waiting room. We are at 33 participants. That's pretty good. So I am recording the webinar and I will send you the link afterwards. So no worries if it goes too fast. You can watch this webinar again at half speed if you want and figure things out from there. Also, this webinar is not a tutorial on how to perform specific tasks. So rather it's a demo to demonstrate some powerful features and tasks that Logos can perform for us. However, if you are interested in a tutorial or in a coaching session, please let me know and I'll see if we can work something out. And finally, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I will occasionally look at the chat, not all the time, but definitely afterwards. So, well, without any further ado, let us dive into Logos. And I just realized that I've got to move the slides ahead. I just want to share this wonderful picture of one of our students, a Papua New Guinean Bible translator, who just learned to use the computer. And just to put things in perspective, we are teaching at grassroots level, and Logos is also part of the training that we give to our Papua New Guinean colleagues and friends. So the content of the webinar consists of 4 main parts. We will start at the beginners level, then we will go through the basics, and the basics will probably be a section where everybody will benefit. And then we move on to part 3, which will demonstrate some tools at the intermediate level. And we end up with part 4 at some really cool advanced features. So I would say stick to the end, because in the end I will have a few bonuses. And after the webinar is officially over and finished, I will be around for a while to ask any questions in a Q&A. So let's dive into Logos. So, as I said, there are people that have never used Logos, and there are people that have never ever studied Biblical Greek and Biblical Hebrew before. So for those people, I have some good news, and that is that Logos has all the tools available for you to start learning Greek and to start learning Hebrew. So probably the most popular textbook for Greek and Hebrew, or for Greek, is Bill Mounce's Basics of Biblical Greek Grammar. You see the book here on the top left of the screen. So it's called Basics of Biblical Greek and written by William B. Mounce. As you see, it's the whole textbook, starting from part 1, the introduction. It goes through the noun system, the indicative verb system, participles, and non-indicative moods and the me verbs. The textbook comes also with a workbook, Basics of Biblical Greek workbook, where you can do exercises that go along with the textbook. Here you see some practices, some exercises about the alphabet. You can fill them out in logos. So what are the 7 vowels? These are A, alpha, epsilon, iota, omicron, epsilon. And so logos can store your answers and you can go back to that. Now, the cool thing about Mounce's textbook and workbook is that Logos brings also the teacher himself inside your house through the video lectures that accompany his grammar. So at the bottom, you see Basics of Biblical Greek video lectures, which is not an audio file or a video file of the text of the textbook, but it just adds to the textbook. So I'll just play a few seconds of this video.
In this lesson, we're going to cover some of the material that's in chapter 2 in Basics Biblical Greek. And this is a pretty short lesson. And in fact, some of the stuff that I put in chapter 2, we talked about in lesson 1. But it's an important chapter, again, to help get you oriented to the whole process of learning Greek. It reminds you, once again, to get your goals straight, to remember why you're doing this, and not lose sight of the end of the tunnel.
So this is a great way of learning Greek. Like, of course, people often prefer to just go to college. However, college is expensive. People have left college. People might be working a full day. So if you want to learn Greek in the evenings or on your own pace, then this is a wonderful way of learning Greek in Logos. On the right side, you see a Greek alphabet tutor, which gives the Greek alphabet. And as you go to the next letter,
Theta, Gamma, Delta,
it will pronounce the letters in either Koine, Erasmian, or Modern Greek. So if we select Erasmian, then this is the delta. And at the bottom, you see a few words like that starts with the letter delta. And if you click it, if you hover over it, it gives the meaning. If you click it, it starts pronouncing it for you.
Didomi, Dunamai, Doxa.
And you can also, of course, you need to, of course, to write Greek. So here's a section that says read it for us, and here's a section that says write it for us. So that shows you how the letters are actually written.
Epsilon, Zeta, Eta.
The same for Biblical Hebrew. I have here Basics of Biblical Hebrew by Van Pelt and Pratico, together with the workbook, and also with some video lectures that are very clear and helpful.
Welcome to the lecture for Basics of Biblical Hebrew, Chapter 6, Hebrew Prepositions. Now, in this lecture, we will cover the form and spelling of the 3 types of Hebrew prepositions. Yes, 3 types of Hebrew prepositions. And then we'll cover quickly the definite direct object marker.
So, and together with the Hebrew alphabet tutor, I believe you have everything in place to start learning Hebrew.
Elohim, Eretz, Anachnu, Vet, Gimel, Gimel, Zoleth, Dalet, He, Wow, Zain.
All right. Well, this is it for learning Biblical Greek and Biblical Hebrew. The Logos website has also courses For example, here you see the Biblical Greek Foundational Certificate Program. That's for sale for $449. And you can check it out. I have sent you an email with all resources that I'm referring to in this webinar. So have a look at it and look around. The same for Biblical Hebrew. All right. I will now go to the next session, and that is showing you a basic Bible study layout using Greek and or Hebrew. And that's a section where everybody probably will benefit to see how I use Biblical Greek and how I use the tools in Logos. So here in the middle, you see my notes for this webinar. And first, I will explain the overall layout. So here on the top left, you see a number of Bibles. There's the Greek New Testament. There are some English translations, the ESV, and there's the NIV and the NLT. And if you are not familiar yet with biblical languages, Logos does have a way of using an interlinear. So for example, if you click on the Aleph and Omega icon, then you can open up the interlinear that goes with the ESV. And you can, if you click the drop down arrow besides that, you can select what details you want to be shown in that interlinear. So manuscript, the exact Greek form, or you can also add the Lau and Nida numbers for those who are familiar with Lau and Nida. But this gives already a pretty basic interlinear. It gives the English, it gives the lemma underneath in Greek, and it gives the pronunciation of that lemma ex erchomai in transcription. So that's pretty cool for those people that do not know Greek very well. I have to say that my webinar is mostly targeted at those people that do know Greek and Hebrew. So I will skip, but I just wanted to mention this in passing. Underneath the Bible translations are the commentaries. And I have opened up the World Biblical Commentary, as well as the New International Greek Testament Commentary, because these are one of the most technical commentaries that do deal with the Greek text of the Bible. The same for the New International Greek Testament Commentary. So rather than commenting on the English translation, they dive into the Greek text itself. And next to it is Metzger, familiar to those who are familiar with textual criticism. And next to the commentaries are a number of dictionaries. First of all, there's the Hebrew and Aramaic lexicon of the Old Testament. There is the most recent dictionary of classical Hebrew. I used to use BDAG, BDB, Brown Driver Briggs, and Halot a lot. But since I have purchased the Dictionary of Classical Hebrew, I like that one the most. Then there are some Greek lexicons. Of course, there's BDAG, the top lexicon for the New Testament. And if you click this one, if I click this one, you see that it is split into multi-view. You click that by this icon, you click it and you see a multi-view. And now I have BDAG open together with Little Scott Jones, which is the top dictionary for classical Greek. Sometimes you want to study a particular word in its biblical context, but also in its extra biblical context. And that's why when you want to look something up in LSJ. There's also the dictionary by Lau and Nida, which is a fascinating dictionary. If you have never heard of it, then this is absolutely worth using, and I will show you the benefit of it in a few minutes later. But this dictionary, this lexicon, is not arranged according to alphabetical order. It is arranged according to a semantic domain. So, for example, let me go up. Here you see a section of animals, and all animals are grouped together in one section. So first we have sujet, zoes, which is an idiom to refer to an animal, and followed by zoon, like a living creature. It could be an animal, followed by therion, and threma, and ktenos, and hypozykion. And so all animals are grouped together. All the birds are grouped together. All the insects are grouped together. And the same for plants. So this allows you, for example, to search for all passages where Jesus, for example, is speaking about animals. And I will show you that in a second. And then here are a few theological dictionaries. There's a New International Dictionary of Old Testament Theology and Exegesis, the Lexham Bible Dictionary, the New Bible Dictionary, and the New International Dictionary of the New Testament and Exegesis. So, as I study the English text, for example, in the ESV, I can double click on the word world, and I know that my BDEC will open up exactly at that lemma. So you can link those dictionaries and lexicons to your text, in both English and Greek, and I'll come to that later. So on this side, I have what I call my Lookup Bible. Anytime when I click a reference, this is my treasury of scripture knowledge with tons of scripture references. If I click a reference, then my whole layout doesn't change, but only my Lookup Bible brings me to the reference I click. You do that by saying to Logos, send hyperlinks here. If you click this feature, then you will see this target icon, and every reference that you click from anywhere in your layout will take you to your Lookup Bible. Then there's the critical apparatus for the Nestle Aland version. And the cool thing is that I have linked this one with Metzger. So if Metzger has anything to say about a particular variant, then you can click on it, like 2 verse 2, Metzger doesn't say anything. So the first thing is about verse 9. You click it, and then, hold on, for example, 11. And then it will highlight this in texture in the commentary by Metzger. In the middle, up in the middle, you see a variety of tools. Starting with my notes here, the Treasury of Scripture Knowledge, which is a resource that I've always opened whenever and whatever Bible study I do, I have always the Treasury of Scripture Knowledge open. Then there are some search fields, and as well as a Factbook and a Bible word study and a passage guide. So I will go back a little bit. So this is just in general an overview of my layout. Now I want to show you a few tools, and the first one is, and we need to go to Luke 2 verse 1 to 7 again. As we study and do exegesis on Luke 2 verse 1 to 7, then I read and I see here a word apographestai, which is an infinitive in the present tense. And then next in the verse 3, I see the word again, apographestai. But now we come to verse 5 and we suddenly read not a present tense infinitive, but an aorist tense, apographsastai. So my question as I study this passage is, why does Luke use an aorist apographsastai instead of a present tense apographestai? So I click this link because I prepared this already, and that will take me to a search field. And what I do here is I perform a basic search, and I want Logos to look up in my library, not random, not all resources, but I select here, I type commentary. And Logos gives me the option to select all my commentaries, all my resources that are tagged commentary. So I click that. And one of the things that I want to do is I want to search for apographsastai somewhere near the word aorist, because I want the commentary to speak about the word aorist as opposed to present tense. Yeah. So I search for that, and I search within a milestone, the milestone of Luke 2 verse 5, because that will take me to all commentaries that speak about Luke 2 verse 5, and they mention the word, both the word apographsastai and the aorist. So a milestone is the backbone of a resource. The milestone, the verses, each verse of the Bible are a milestone in the Bible. So every resource that is organized according to the same milestones, like commentaries, they also go by verses. You can use this milestone feature. So I press enter, and voila, there is a commentary, the International Critical Commentary by Plummer, that does say something about the aorist. It does explain something about the aorist as opposed to the present. So that's pretty cool. You can very specifically search within your commentaries. Now I need to admit that I'm pretty lucky. I have a lot of commentaries, and there's only one of them that gives an answer to my question. But imagine that you have that many commentaries in your library. I see some libraries at the back of some of the participants. But imagine you take one commentary to see if it says something about apographsastai and the aorist. You look it up, it says nothing. Next one, nothing. I bet you give up after the 10th. But this one, Logos, in how many, in just a split second, finds exactly the right information in the right commentary. If that doesn't save time, then I don't know. But we move on to the next feature. And for example, we continue reading, and we read here, egeneto de ento einai. Now, there's a lot of nostalgia around the Christmas stories these times. And one of the perceptions of people when they celebrate Christmas is that Joseph and Mary really came last minute to Bethlehem on the last day of Mary's pregnancy. And she was about to give birth, and they didn't find a house. Well, that is not really biblically warranted. And so we want to see, what does ento followed by an infinitive in the present tense mean? So what does this grammatical construction ento plus infinitive suggest about the meaning of this passage? So we open up and we do a morph search, and we search in the Greek text of Nestle Aland, and we search for a phrase ento before one word. And then here you see, and I need to show that to people that are not familiar with morph searches. if you do a morph search and you press the @ symbol, you enter the @ symbol, then it gives you a bunch of options here. And we are going to look for a verb. And then we want to have a present tense verb in the infinitive mood. All right, that's how you select it. Now, Logos will translate it into a search query. And if you press enter, then in just again a split second, it will find all instances where you find this construction. And if you want to see the translation, you select ESV, for example, and here you go. Here now you can study all the instances where ento is followed by an infinitive in the present tense. And as you go through it, you will find that ento plus infinitive present tense indicates a time frame. And something might happen in that time frame. Like we don't know whether it's in the beginning or in the end or in the middle, but somewhere within that time frame, something happened. So within the time frame of Joseph and Mary being in Bethlehem, it then at some point, either in the beginning or in the middle or the end, the time for her came for her to give birth. So yeah, Logos helps a lot finding grammatical constructions, and that can help you better understand the Greek text. Okay, now we move on to verse 7, and in verse 7 we read a very fascinating Greek word, katalumati. Kataluma in Greek. So in the nominative case. So the question is, what does kataluma mean? So what I will do is I open a word study, and this word study you can also write for example, by right-clicking, and then make sure you select kataluma here on the left side, and then you select Bible word study, and it takes you to the Bible word study. First of all, it gives you information about the lemma, and it gives you some lexicons and dictionaries that you can consult. And here you already see from the New International Dictionary of New Testament Theology and Exegesis that it has to do with to lose, to untie. That's very interesting. It's also translated lodging place. We go to the translation and you get a translation ring. Now in the ESV, it is translated with, it is found 3 times, and it's translated with in once, and with room once, and with guest room once. So if you click on any of those ring parts, it brings you the context. Yeah. But if you hover over in and you look at the new translation ring that pops up, then you see that the English word in is the rendering of actually 2 Greek words. So at the bottom, the red one, you see pandochaion, which is the normal word for in. And so yeah, there's something to do here. What is the relationship between a pandochaion and a kataluma? And so let us dive into that further. We can see what the Septuagint gives us. So the Septuagint translates a number of words with kataluma: a shelter, a hall, even a tent, stopping place. Yeah. But what is the root? Now the root, of course, comes from luo. It is kata luo, and luo means to release, to set free, to untie, to lose, to loosen. And so that also gives me an idea that kataluma has something to do with, yeah, maybe untying your packs, your backpacks, relaxing, and that's where a translation of guest room or lodging place comes from. I realize I go real quick through this Bible word study, guys, but it has a ton of information. One feature I particularly like in the Bible word study is the lemma in passage feature. The lemma in passage feature that looks up all commentaries that discuss this particular word in certain context. For example, you will find kataluma in 2 Samuel, in 1 Chronicles, but we are interested in seeing Luke. What do commentaries on Luke have to say about kataluma? So if we open up the Pillar commentary, then we read the Greek word kataluma does not refer to an inn or a hotel, but something else. So it has helped define kataluma properly as a guest room. So you can open up the ICC, for example, and there you see something similar. It is a little doubtful whether the familiar translation, the inn, is correct. So a very powerful tool, the Bible word study tool. Now you see, it does get kataluma in Greek, but you also saw that a number of commentaries, they referred to the Greek using a transcription. Yeah, so logos will find all that. All right, and then finally on the right side we have the info panel, and that gives, I have always opened the definition section, the translation section, and the word info section. So for example, it gives, if I click a word dogma, then it will populate this screen here. It will say, give a definition from BDAG and from Lauwenaida. It will tell me how the word is translated in several translations. And it will give me the grammatical info about the word. All right, let me have a look at my notes, because I think we move forward to the next session, which is the intermediate level section. So in this section, I'm going to share a few tips and tricks with respect to biblical language tools. And the first thing we do is we will create a 1-volume Hebrew Old Testament and Greek New Testament. So for example, here you see, at the bottom you see the BHS and the Nestle Aland. But if I go into the BHS and I go from Genesis and I type Luke 2, it immediately takes me to the Greek Nestle Aland version. So in one resource. So you do not need to open up 2 resources at a time. The same for the Greek New Testament. If I type in Genesis 1, it takes me to the Hebrew. So that's pretty cool. So how do you do that? You go to your library, you make sure you select or you narrow your library down to the BHS and to the Nestle Aland 28, or whatever Greek translation, Greek text you use. So you select them both, you click the information icon, and you scroll down until you reach the area where it says series. And if you haven't set a series yet, it should say set series for all, and you give the 2 resources exactly the same series title. So in my case, it's Hebrew and Greek Bible. You press enter, and now it's set. You should be good to go. The next thing, and again, remember, you can always watch this webinar later, again, to slow down. So the next thing I want to show is set this double click action to look up. So if you have the English text here, and I want to see teacher, so and I double click teacher, it takes me to BDAG, lemma of didaskalos. Yeah, so how do you do that? You go to the program settings under tools. So there's tools, there are program settings, And in the program settings, you scroll down until you see text display. And then there is an option to define what happens if you double click something. And there are a few options. I have chosen to let Logos look up something in my prioritized resources. And so I click look up. And my triple action is search. Now, if you do that and you have not prioritized your resources, you click teacher and a random resource, a random lexicon might pop up. So in order for BDAC to pop up, you go to your library and you prioritize your resources. Now, I can't go into detail. As you see here, I have a bunch of resources prioritized, very specific and very precise. So, and also some advanced feature. But the easiest way to do is you select BDAC in your library, BDAC or whichever lexicon you want, type lexicon. All right, and you just drag it to the top of your prioritization screen, and then you should be good to go. All right, let's move on to the next one. That's prioritization. A few tips and tricks for lexicons. So as you see, and I will open up, let me show it to you in a little bit larger screen. All right, here we see, let's take, so you can do multi-view. So that's what I already referred to, multi-view. It's this icon. You press the down arrow and you can select which resource you want to show next to it. I can toggle it off, and then there you go. And I can toggle it on again, LSJ, and there you go. Now, another cool feature is that if you click on these three dots, you enable some visual filters. Now, there are many visual filters available. Some belong to the resources, some are visual filters that you made yourself. So one of the things you can do is you tick the feature of emphasize active references here. So what that will do is, for example, I'm going to look, for example, look 2, verse 1 in my ESV. I click degree, and now immediately you see that Logos highlights the reference Luke 2 verse 1 within BDAG. So you don't need to scroll through the whole lemma and to find which meaning is applicable to Luke 2. Of course, this is the opinion of the lexicon authors, but it's often pretty good. So here it says decree, and then it gives an example. Now, maybe if you open up BDAG, it doesn't look as neatly as this one. So maybe it looks like this, a little bit of a mess. It is hard to see, hard to read. And Logos has a feature. You go to the visual filters again, and then you click under resource, you click outline formatting. And that gives you a much more readable view and display of your lexicon. All right, let me see. I go to LSJ, and as you see, you see now my lexicon LSJ, but it doesn't really highlight the glosses for dogma. It highlights it a little bit in italics, but I want to let the glosses stand out a little bit more. So I created a visual filter myself by going to Docs, and then you click New, and you select a visual filter. And then I did a very simple thing. It's really a power user trick, but I told Logos okay, search in LSJ for the search field gloss text. That's the only thing I want locals to search in. I want locals to search within all text that is gloss text. And then I gave the rule for the visual filter, which is just an asterisk, which means everything. All right, nothing else. And I said, make that bold text. Make that bold. All right. Now, since it is searching for everything that is in the gloss text, it will take some time. It takes a few minutes on my computer. It might take more minutes on your computer. I don't know. But here you go. Now you see, let me see, my visual filter, lexicon highlight. Now it's toggled off. And now it's toggled on. You see? That's pretty cool. Now all the glosses stand out exactly like in BDAG. Now in some let me see. In some dictionaries, like the Braille Dictionary of Ancient Greek, that is done by the editors. But sometimes you have to do it yourself. And now you know how to do that. All right. For those people that are not familiar with the Factbook, it is really cool. The Factbook is for almost everything. Did you know that you can enter a Greek lemma and it will pull up a Factbook on Cataluma? So, for example, you can also do it from the text. You see in. I select in with the right click. I select the lemma and I open a Factbook. And there you go. Here's the Factbook for Cataluma. It gives you an article, a key article. It gives you references where the word is used. It gives you alternate corpus references, extra biblical information. And if you have those resources, you can click it and drag it here. And that's not open. Let me see what happens. I'm not sure that doesn't work that way. Never mind. So it has, you can do a Bible word study from there. So pretty powerful Factbook. Now, maybe you did study Greek or Hebrew in school and it is a little bit rusty. And sometimes you read in a commentary, what about a periphrastic participle, for example, to say something fancy? Periphrastic participle. What in the world is that? I've completely forgot. So you open the Factbook, and here you go. It gives you information, a key article about this particular grammatical feature. It references to, for example, Wallace, Greek grammar beyond the basics. And so you can open that from there, and now you can read from Wallace. What is periphrastic participle? All right. I want to also show you a little bit of visual filters. For example, about Greek imperatives. Now, when I studied classics a while ago, I studied, I wrote a thesis on the difference between a present tense imperative and an aorist tense imperative. So at some point I wanted to look up those imperatives in the Bible. And I wanted to see if there's a pattern of using an imperative aorist before an imperative in the present tense, or vice versa. So what I did was I created a visual filter. And here you see, again, like you press the @ symbol, it brings up the verb. And I want to see the aorist and the imperative. And that's it. And I want to mark it blue. And for the present tense, I want to mark it orange. And here you go, Luke 2, verse 10. And the angel said to them, fear not. Now, fear is in the aorist, in the present tense form, and behold, idu is in the aorist form. All right. So using those visual filters allows you to immediately see and recognize imperatives in the underlying Greek text. All right. And of course, you can also search for those things. For example, I do a morph search, alt text in the Nestle Aland. So I search for verb, aorist, imperative before one word, before a verb in the present tense, imperative, and off you go. And you see the translation. That's pretty cool. All right. What else? Oh, a very powerful feature for especially for English-speaking people. In English, we don't distinguish between you singular and you plural. And sometimes that really makes a difference. For example, let's move on to the ESV in John 3, verse 10. That's a very fascinating passage. Nicodemus said to him, to Jesus, "How can these things be?" And Jesus answered him, do you see that singular? Because I created a visual filter for every singular verb or pronoun to mark it this way with a superscript singular. Are you the teacher of Israel, and yet you do not understand these things? Truly, truly, I say to you, singular, we speak of what we know and bear witness to what we have seen, but you do not receive plural. Hey, why is there a change from singular to plural? Now, this is pretty cool because Israel, the culture of the New Testament is a shame culture. And that means that it is really hard to shame people. Now imagine what Jesus would do and how Jesus would have come across if he would have used a singular here. Truly, truly, I say to you, Nicodemus, we speak of what we know, but you, Nicodemus, do not receive my testimony. Wow, that is pretty direct. And that's pretty shaming. If I have told you, Nicodemus, no, it says plural. If I told you, Nicodemus, earthly things, and you do not believe, Nicodemus, no, it says plural. How can you believe if I tell you heavenly things? So Jesus is very sensitive to the shame culture that he was part of. And so this visual filter helps me in English. I don't need to go back to the Greek, but it helps me to identify if the you is singular or plural in Greek. All right. Well, let me have a look at my notes again. I think I covered everything I wanted to show in at the intermediate level. We might run a little bit out, but hopefully not too much. We will go to the advanced. So I have two more layouts, the advanced section and one particularly for textual criticism. All right. So one, thank you, Nick. So one very, very, very powerful. I can spend an hour on this feature. So imagine what I will do in just a few minutes. But I have opened up the passage guide. Now the passage guide, if you open up a passage guide on your computer, Logos will present any content in a kind of a random order. Now what I did was that I organized my passage guide. You can do that by just dragging and dropping items. I organized my passage guide in order of chronology, kind of. So, for example, I want to first, when I study a text, I first want to dive into the textual issues. So here are my apparatuses, the Nestle Aland. So what are some other, what do some other manuscripts say about this text? And so the first two sections are really about establishing the original text. All right. Then I'm going to translate the text, and yeah, you may need to have this feature word by word. I honestly don't use that at all, but so I can't tell you a lot about it. But it gives you information about every single word. You can say to set the settings. Every single word, or only lemmas occurring 10 times or fewer in the New Testament. You can only display the verbs or the nouns or both of them. Yeah, so you hover over the section and then you click settings, and it gives you all the information you might need to study that particular word. It gives you important words. Kataluma again. Now here you see, if you expand it, then you see this wonderful feature again. Now I need to tell you that logos, some people don't find logos very intuitive. Other people, like myself, say, well, logos very often has multiple ways of doing the same thing. So you can enter a lemma in passage search through the Bible word study, but also through the passage guide, and also through the right-click menu. So very often you will find that logos has multiple ways of doing things, and you just as you practice and as you get used to the software, you find your most favorite approach. There's a section with grammars that tells you about morphology, for example. Is there anything in this passage, Luke 2, verse 1 to 7, that is significant in terms of grammar? Or in terms of etymology, for example? All right? Or in terms of exegesis? Okay, what grammar features are relevant for my exegesis? Okay, very powerful. I will skip. Now here you see that, and this is a power feature. As I have studied and done my own exegesis, I want to consult a few commentaries. All right. So what I do is I have organized my commentaries according to category. So here again are my textual commentaries. Then I have my technical commentaries. And then I have my translation commentaries. And as I end up preparing myself for a sermon, I go to a expository or an application or devotional commentary. So that's a pretty cool feature. If you're interested in that, you might respond to this webinar later in an email or in a survey that I will send out, because I might want to share those or to sell those collections and visual filters. Somebody was asking about it with people that are interested. I'm looking at the chat box and I see, is there a way to search for an occurrence of a Greek word in the New Testament? Definitely. So as we go, for example, here's the ESV, and you want to see a righteousness, dikaiosune in Greek, you right click, well, either in English or in Greek, it doesn't matter. And you go to the lemma, or if you want to search for the root, dike, you can select the root, and you can do a search, like let's have a look for dikaiosune. There you go. And now it finds all instances where the lemma dikaiosune is used. So I hope that answers your question, Nansen. Like for people that are not familiar with this context menu, Logos tags each word of the Bible with tons of different aspects. So it says the righteousness has the tag of the Greek lemma, of the Greek root, grammatical tags, Strong's numbers tags, Louw-Nida tags, and also even other things. So if you as you select an option from the left side, it brings up a whole different options on the right side. So it is worth just playing around and check it out. Now, I do remember that I mentioned before that you are able to search within Lauwenaida. Now, let me do that because otherwise I might skip that. I want to search for the speaker, Jesus. So I use curly brackets, speaker Jesus, and I want that to intersect with the Lauwenaida code of, now, and I just remember, like, look to, let me see, Lauwenaida flock is number 4. Okay, Lauwenaida tilde 4, and there you go. Now, Logos finds all instances where Jesus says anything about any animal. All right, in Greek. So that's pretty cool. It finds the moth, it finds birds of the air, it finds pigs, it finds fish, etc. You can also use sense and say, let me see, sense is animal. That will give you a similar result. And if you combine them together, sense animal or Lauwenaida tilde 4, then you get everything. All right, so that's a pretty cool feature. Let me see what else we go. Passage guide. Yeah, there's a ton of other things that I can share about the passage guide, but ancient literature, for example, pretty cool. There is there are church fathers, apostolic fathers, ancient Near Eastern material, and if you have those texts, you can click it, and it will take you to, for example, the Didache. Here you go. Apostolic Fathers in English. Let me see if I have it in yeah. Never mind. All right. So the New Testament Apocrypha. You click it, and or Josephus. Okay, I go ahead and go to a syntax search, which is already, we are getting a little bit advanced now. Let me see, you advanced syntax search. Now, what you can do, for example, in Romans 3, verse 23, we read about the righteousness of God through faith in Jesus Christ. But the Greek says, actually, it uses a genitive. Oops. It says the faith, the pistis of Jesus Christ. Now, that can be interpreted as a genitive, as an objective genitive or a subjective genitive. And I want to search for all the instances where pistis is followed by a genitive. And here is how I set up a syntax search. I can't go into the details now, but I search for it, and it will find all instances where pistis is followed by any genitive. And now you can make up your own mind. What is more common, a subject genitive or an object genitive, in which context, etc. For the Hebrew lovers among us, there is a, I have a search, let me see, for the sons of God. Now, if you search for sons of God, let me run this search, you will not find everything, because, for example, you see here in Psalm 29, it is the B'nai Elim are translated with heavenly beings. Hey, what did you do, ESV? You didn't translate literally. That doesn't matter. Logos finds it with a syntax search. So very, very cool and powerful. All right. Let me see what else I have to share in this screen. That is, oh, definitely. Yeah. You don't want to miss this one. Let me close this. If you ever do a word study in Greek, and you may want to do a word study, but you want to know how the word is used in the actual biblical literature, right? So what you do is, for example, I open a search window. I'm studying Jude 3, for example, and I read about common salvation. Okay, and I have read hundreds of commentaries on this verse, and almost all commentaries, they say that Jude changed his mind. Although I was very eager to write to you about the common salvation, but then he doesn't write about common salvation. So what's going on with Jude? Why did he change his mind? Why did he write a different letter? Well, I believe he didn't write a different letter. I believe he didn't change his mind, and I will show you that. And the only answer that to solve this problem is found in extra biblical literature. Because if you do a random search, a Bible search, and you search for what's the Greek word? You search for, all right, sorry, it doesn't respond. Okay. Perites koines hemon soteria. So we are searching for the words koinos, the lemma, all right, before, let's say, 3 words, and then soteria. All right. And I want to search in both the Septuagint and the New Testament Greek. And you see how many times it occurs. And there you go. And then you read in commentaries that this is a hapax legomenon. It is found only once in the whole Bible. Yes, but it's not an hapax legomenon in the whole Greek literature. So you want to expand your search. And we go to the left side. What we are going to do is we are going, let me see, I need to change this layout. Just hold on, refresh it. So see what we do. We are going to search in all Greek, ancient Greek literature. That's a collection that I made. I made tons of collections with Greek authors from the 8th century to the 9th century to the 5th, and the 1st century before, and the 1st century before until the 1st century after, both English and Greek. So I just want to select all ancient Greek literature except Bibles. All right? And then I want to also show the translation of that. Let me see. All ancient Greek literature in translation except Bibles. All right? So here you go. Now you get all instances where koine soteria in any case is used in here, for example, Xenophon. And as you study the English translation, then you read this. It is about the safety of all. All right. So if you scroll down, there are a few texts that I have not a translation for. Let me see. The common safety in another work of Xenophon. The common safety. Let's have a look to see if we have. Well, actually, let's have a look for the contemporaneous literature. Contemporaneous literature from the 2nd century before till the 1st century after. There you go. Let's skip the first ones because they don't come with the translation. Here, it is about praying, euphomai. hypertes koines soterias, prayers for the welfare of the community. Oh, now, okay, it makes sense. And that is actually Josephus. Okay, here we see Philo. What does Philo say? It speaks about the security of the commonwealth. Ah, but now it turns out to be a technical term in the Greek literature for the security of the state or for the safety of the state. Now, if you take that meaning and you apply it to Jude, then suddenly it becomes as clear as crystal. Because, beloved, now we should not translate although, but let's do the Greek text. Beloved, while we are very eager to write to you about the safety, the security of the church, I feel I should write about fighting for the faith that has been handed down to us. Now it makes perfect sense to us. Jude didn't change his mind. He didn't write a different letter that he wanted to write first. But because of these people, certain people have crept in unnoticed. The church is in danger, and he wants to protect and to write about the safety, the security of the congregation. So, pretty cool feature using Logos Bible software. Okay, that was it. I go to the last section of my webinar. I'm sorry that we are running out a little bit, but I hope you like it. Which is the textual criticism. If you are into textual criticism, you may like this because Logos allows you to study old manuscripts. So, for example, here I have John 1 open in Greek. There's the English translation in the ESV. There is my apparatus, and there's a textual commentary on the Greek New Testament. As you see, if I hover over the reference in the apparatus, you see that it actually refers to the textual commentary by Metzger. All right, that is because I did some advanced prioritization. Let me see, prioritization, and I told. Let me see where it is. I told Logos. Oh yeah, here it is. That anytime I open the apparatus and there's a Bible reference, all right, it should take me to the textual commentary of Metzger. Pretty cool. All right. So, but it has much more. The Factbook opens up. You can search for, what is the Codex Sinaiticus? But here I have opened up some real manuscripts in transcription. And here's the Papyrus 66 from the text of the earliest New Testament Greek manuscript. And you can study the Greek text. But maybe that's not enough for you. Maybe you think, I want to see the real manuscript. Yeah? Hands up for those who want to see the real manuscripts. All right. So what we do is there's a tool, and there is a tool called Manuscript. And you can open up the New Testament Manuscript Explorer, and you can filter down. I have filtered in nothing, I see. These are just all of them. But let me see if I can find an interesting manuscript. Now let me open up in a floating window. And I think, oh, here it is. There's the Chester Beatty and the Bodmer Papyrus. And that's a very cool one. Now, if you expand this, you will see what is the content of that papyrus. It does have John 1, and we were studying John 1, so that's pretty cool. And then it gives you a link to the NTVMR manuscript website. Now, that takes a little bit. I should have opened that. Okay, there we go. And it takes you to exactly the right manuscript. In high resolution facsimiles. Well, if it is loading, there you go. John 1. I want to see John 1. Studying scripture, studying even old Greek manuscript hasn't been easier than just now. And I'm so excited that that Logos has been partnering with the Institut für Neutestamentliche Textforschung in Germany. But here you have the old Bodmer manuscript and Arche and Ho Logos and Proston. Oh, must be Theon. Kai Theos and Logos. Pretty cool, isn't it? So I'm looking at the watch again. This is pretty much the end of it. I'll go back to my PowerPoint to share a few bonuses with you. Let me see if I can. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm excited that the technology doesn't leave me today. So after wrapping up this webinar, I'll be around for a little while for some extra time for a Q&A. I may even guide you through the many libraries that are available in Logos and explain which ones are the best ones if you want to study Greek and Hebrew with Logos. But the second bonus is, let me see. We have a guest from Faith Life. Greg Monet is from Faith Life, and I will give him the floor in just a few minutes. But Logos has base packages for everybody. But since not everybody is familiar with biblical languages, the relevant packages for the things we have been doing in this webinar are pretty much among the higher tier packages. So that's not a real bonus, but the most suitable packages are either the standard platinum or higher, or the academic professional package. But what's a real bonus is this. So, hey, Greg, are you still there? Can I give you the floor?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
What do you have to offer?
Well, because our partnership with you, we are very pleased to be able to offer 30% off for everyone watching, which is our academic level discount that usually full-time seminarians. And one thing that I can also offer that's not at that landing page, and the way to get the discount is if you go to logos.com/PAUW, you don't even need to put in events. Just logos.com/PAUW, and then that's the coupon. Yeah, you don't even need to put in events. You can just go to logos.com/PAUW. That's where the landing page is, and then that's the coupon code. And you can apply that to any base package or upgrade package as well, PAUW1221. But one other thing that's not on that landing page, if any of you are planning to spend at least $500 or more on your upgrade and you would like a 24-month payment plan on any package, you can email me, and I'm going to type my email address here. I will apply the coupon code so that, is your name pronounced Michelle?
Yes.
Or is it Michael? Michelle. So that Michelle, by the way, he put a lot of work into this, and he is getting a commission on the sales that are made through this, whether it's upgrades or new sales. So we want to make sure that he gets he gets credit for the sales. So instead of calling a salesperson over the phone, if you email me, I will make sure that the discount code is applied. And even if you do call, you can call the 1-800 number, but make sure the order is connected to Michelle's coupon code, which is PAUW1221, because he gets credit for the sales of any upgrades or new sales that are made. However, one thing that you will not be able to get by calling directly or going online is a 24-month payment plan on any package between, like spending $500 up to about $1,500. And if you look, my email address is right there at the bottom of that page. You can see it right down there. So Michelle, if you're able to, yes, right there. greg.minette@faithlife.com. I'm going to type it in right here. I can offer you 24-month payment plans on any package, including upgrades that you would like to go with. So my email address, greg.minette@faithlife.com. I put that in the comments in the chat box, or you can greg.minette@logos.com also works. It's the same, goes to the same place. So I can offer the 24-month payment plans. That makes your payment go down. So if you're planning on purchasing, for instance, Platinum, instead of the website, I'm not sure what the website lists it as for Platinum, but I can, with the 24-month payment, if you just scroll up, Michelle, it'll show what Platinum is priced at. And it says right there, it's $81. But if you do 24 months, which I can give you, your price is $67 a month. So that helps quite a bit. So it's a little bit of an advantage if you want to be able to improve your monthly payment plan price. And so once again, we're really proud of the work that Michelle's doing. And you're not located in North America, where most of us are. Where are you located once again?
So I'm from the Netherlands, but I'm currently living in Papua New Guinea. In the Pacific.
What time is it there? What time is it there right now?
Very conveniently, it is just lunchtime.
Perfect. Hey, well, I want to thank you for doing this, because that was incredibly important information. And I'm definitely going to be rewatching the video that you're going to send us out, the recording of this, because some of the searches are huge. I especially liked, right around Christmas time, you looking at Luke chapter 2 and looking at how Luke uses kataluma, which is not the same as pandokion. And he does use pandokion later on in the parable of the Good Samaritan, when he takes the guy to a commercial inn, and that's the word he uses is pandokion. So that's referred to a commercial inn where you pay money. So it makes I think your presentation and your use your word studies of kataluma makes a lot of sense, being a guest room. So it changes the dynamic of Christmas. They're not inhospitable people. They did the best they could and they welcomed them in, and the days came where it was time for her to give birth. So that was excellent. So anyways, thank you so much for doing this tonight, or this morning. And once again, logos.com/PAUW, which is Michelle's last name, or you can use the coupon code PAUW1221. And as Michelle said, the higher base packages give you more books. But if from gold and higher, you get all the features. There's no difference in features. It's the books you get in your library. So if you want to do a search, you want to have more lexicons, more commentaries, theological works, encyclopedias, the bigger the library you get, the better search results you're going to get. So that's the way it works. And by the way, if you want to compare library packages, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, if you look in the comments, the chat box again, here's the link for you to go to in Logos. And if you click on that, you can compare the library packages and see exactly which books are included. So you can take a few minutes and look through that. And that's it. So and this discount is available until the 20th at midnight Pacific time. So I don't even know when the 20th is. It's the 16th right now. So in 4 days. So that's it is time sensitive, the 30% off. So once again, thank you so much for everyone for watching, but especially thank you to Michelle for taking the time to put this together. This was excellent. And I just encourage you all to show them some love. And if you're planning on upgrading or buying Logos for the first time, you will never get a better discount on Logos 9 than on this academic discount that we're offering through this webinar. So thank you so much. I'll let you continue and have a great morning. Great night, everyone.
All right. Thank you so much, Greg. I have 2 more bonuses. The next bonus is that I will provide the recording of the webinar. And I will also send out an email with a survey. And in that survey, you can tell me if you're interested in coaching or training options, because they might be available as well. And also, I will think about sharing collections and visual filters but I have to think about it a little bit. This is my first webinar that I do this way, so I'll have to think about that. But I will definitely do that. And then let me see. Before we go to there's another bonus, and that's my monthly newsletter. You all qualify for my monthly newsletter, which comes out on the first day of every month, and it will list all the deals that are available in a particular month. Now, Faith Life doesn't do a great deal in presenting all deals at the same time. They might send you a number of emails during the month, and you may get sick of those emails because there are just too many. If that's the case, just enjoy my monthly newsletter, because it will give all the deals that happen in 1 month. And the bonus of that is that any revenue, as I said, from those affiliate links go to the supporting the work of Bible translation in Papua New Guinea that we do. So that might give you a good feeling if you buy books, and you may justify your feeling, your purchases to your wife or to your husband that way. All right, and then before I start with the Q&A, I would just want to share an extra bonus with you. And that is, I created a spreadsheet that compares the highlights of each base package. Now it is made for people in Europe, so it is in euros, but it first has the prices in dollars. So only this green bar is in euros. But it compares gold to platinum to diamond to portfolio to collector's edition. And I just want to share with you how they compare. And so gold is really the beginner's package for theologians. I would say silver, bronze, and starters are for very interested Bible students, but they are lay persons. If you are in a Bible ministry as a theologian, as a pastor or a teacher, then the minimum you should get is probably gold. But gold doesn't come with a lot of biblical languages, tools, and resources yet. Just a few, but not too many. But if you look at the highlights of gold, it is pretty amazing that they sell the Lexham Geographic Commentary for $240, the Tyndale commentaries for both the Old and New Testament, the Pillar Commentary, and the IVP New Testament commentary, and the New American Commentary. And if you sum this up, if you add everything, then it is worth $2,300. And the only thing that you pay with the current discount is $1,000. So that's pretty steep. And I've not mentioned yet what is available, like the Anchor Yale Bible Dictionary, the Texas Receptus, the BDB Hebrew Lexicon. But then when you move on to the next one, to the next level, which is only $400 more, then you get a bunch more stuff for your bucks. There is the New International Greek Commentary. For that's already the upgrade worth. There are the Calvin commentaries for those who are Reformed. The Lexham Research Commentary for $850, which is a magnificent commentaries that will save you a lot of time. Instead of you looking up every single commentary, the research commentary does the research for you. It does tell you what are the hot items, what are the items of debate, the topics of debate in the most recent commentaries. And it sums up the opinions of different commentaries. And it let you link to the commentaries if you have the commentaries. So that's pretty cool. But then it also adds like the Dictionary of Classical Hebrew, the one that I was using in the webinar. A pretty recent dictionary, I think 2015 or so. It gives you the works of Philo in English. It gives you the Nestle Aland, the latest Nestle Aland 28th edition. It gives you Josephus in Greek. It gives you the Lexham Analytical Lexicon of the Hebrew, which helps you parse all the words in the Old Testament. So to me, honestly, this, and then it gives you the Journal of Biblical Literature, but this step from gold to platinum is, in terms of money, in terms of price, it is relatively little. It is only $400 more. But the value that you get back in return for it is huge. So that's why I call the starters package for biblical languages. If you are interested in Hebrew, then this package has a lot more on Hebrew. It also has a lot more technical commentaries. For example, the International Critical Commentary, which is $2,000. The Evangelical Exegetical Commentary, also a technical commentary. So only the commentaries that you get including the ancient Christian commentary, are worth $4,000. And the only thing you pay extra is about $900 compared to platinum. But it also gives you the Dead Sea Scrolls. It gives you the Babylonian Talmud. It gives you the Amarna letters, the Oxyrhynchus papyri to do extra biblical research. It gives you the Mishnah and a lot of other stuff. So let me know in the chat box if you're interested in seeing this, in getting this spreadsheet, because then I will send that along in my email. So from Diamond, we go to Portfolio, which is basically a starting university library. It anchors it features the Anchor Bible commentary, a very solid one, and it features the Hamaniah commentary. So again, these alone are $2,500. And the only thing that you pay extra is $1,000. But you get more. You get the Aramaic Bible series, Canaanite myths and legends, Journal of Biblical Interpretation, Biblical Archaeologies, new studies in biblical theologies. So, and then you have the collector's edition that probably just a few might be able to afford. But that gives the New Testament, the New International Commentary on the Old Testament and on the New Testament. And a ton of other very good literature. But again, like the step from gold to platinum is really worth looking at. And if you are into Hebrew, then definitely consider Diamond. Okay, that's enough for now. Thank you very much for attending this webinar and for watching it later. Thank you so much for your support of Bible Translation Papua New Guinea, through maybe purchasing an upgrade or a library package, or maybe in the future purchasing through my monthly newsletter. If you have any question, let me know. I am a full-time, I'm full-time working for Wycliffe and as an academic dean at the Pacific Institute of Languages, Art and Translation. But and this Logos work is actually side work for me. But I will see if I can help in any way. Now, please make sure you take the survey to let me know how things were and what you might need next time. And that's it for now. Thank you very much.